President Brazen Usurpation continues his war on America, disarmingly disguised as a war for America. But in response to a severely skeptical court order in Washington, he has tacoed. Apparently, his effort to make things worse did not sit well with an often overlooked constituency: people. Told that there was actually no crime emergency, Prez responded, "I am your crime emergency." The feds have, however, continued to attack drugged-out maniacs and homeless people who have not so much taken over the city as been defunded by the big, bad, pitiful bill. According to culture maven Mr. Greatest President Ever, DJT will host the next Kennedy Awards after nominating the awardees himself, including himself. And of course, Rambo. The grapevine speculates that he will take control of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee next. When President It Was Rigged fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it sent a clear message to civil servants. Tell my story, not the one your prejudiced facts tell. Does this remind anyone of a Soviet or Russian or Chinese or any of a number of fascist powers' purveyance of alternative facts? But in fairness, all such regimes would envy Trump's ability to change the number of floors in his tower, the number of bucks in his bank account. To be fair, twice in a row he determined his net worth based on his feelings, or to change the direction of a hurricane with a Sharpie, or the size of a crowd at his inauguration, or the efficacy of hydroxy-ivor bleach, or the number of sides in Charlottesville that had very fine people, or confusing himself with a president of a democracy. In any case, the replacement bot at the Bureau is E.J. Antoni, who calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme. "600 million Africans don't have electricity. Let's inaugurate the good news segment. A new solar mini-grid system will solve that, or half of it in the first 6 years. With the plummeting cost of solar power, all that is required for success is for corporations and governments to get out of the way. Stay tuned to find out if that ever happens. Ever. Meanwhile, stateside, the Environmental Prevention Agency is looking to cancel grants that would have provided $350 million in solar power savings to 1 million households. Shithole country much? Right-wing podcaster Andrew Schultz is walking it back.
You see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
While Joe Rogan says about Trump and Epstein,
you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
And deporting students over their ideas. Frequent Rogan guest Dave Smith reacting to the Iran negotiating fiasco.
Yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. For this, all of his supporters should turn on him.
Meanwhile, rural Trumpsters are set to lose Medicaid, hospitals, infrastructure jobs, public media, and harvested food. President Con Job counsels, no, they're not.
The word tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary. More beautiful than love.
But you know, if coffee from Brazil faces a hike of 50%, Starbucks will be charging $12.50 for a frap. People can't afford that and childcare, or either one actually. So without coffee, peeps will fall asleep on their 3 jobs as DoorDasher, Uberer, and childcarer. And you don't want to be there to see any of that. Tariffs are actually a tax increase on the poor, who pay more of their income on consumer goods, which will be more expensive. Worse than expensive is what happens on the other end to the people we aren't allowed to care about. In Lesotho, which many people are saying no one has heard of, the 50% revenge nonsense tariff has shut down textile factories, which are 90% of industry. No word yet on whether any actual people will suffer. A shithole country, by the way, is one that has been shat on. The Veterans Administration has retaliated against out-of-control unions that recklessly defend workers and therefore democracy. President Interests of Capital says labor unions there and at HHS and EPA are being stripped of representation in the interest of national security, arguing that collective bargaining is as dangerous to U.S. stability as foreign students' op-eds. Those op-eds, however, could be eliminated by collecting data on students from their colleges. But there's a hitch. President He Who Saves the Nation Commits No Crime already fired the entire National Center for Education Statistics, so there's no one to analyze the purloined data. The policy seems to be shoot diversity in the face after shooting yourself in the foot. Former FDA chief Dr. David Kessler says speed eating and resultant obesity are baked into ultra-processed foods pushed by Big Ag, purveyors of rapid-digesting mouth stuffings. The current FDA, a mirror image of its pre-vampire incarnation, says they are not going to put yellow police tape over grocery shelves. Of course not. That would be like saying there's corporate crime. And in news of the indifferent, sometimes it takes an atrocity to get people to look outside themselves.